Hello guys, this is Movie Lover and welcome to this Movie Lover world. The movie begins with a years-old girl named Melissa. She lives in a small house with her mother named Daria and grandmother named Elvira. Melissa is not close with her mother and shares all her secrets with her grandma. However, her grandma is mostly sick due to her smoking addiction. One day when Melissa is trying to explore the holy cave between her legs by touching herself, suddenly her mom comes in and she stops. Later Melissa goes to Daniel's house. He is her class fellow. There is a party at his house. She is feeling nervous because she likes Daniel. After some time Daniel notices her and comes to meet Melissa. He asks her for a swim in the pool. However, she can't swim, so she sits on the pool side. Daniel pulls her into the pool and Melissa starts drowning. When Daniel realizes that Melissa can't swim, he helped her and take her to the safe side. Daniel tells Melissa that he wants to show her something. Melissa gets scared because she doesn't know what it is that he wants to show her, and when Daniel tells her about his garden she feels happy. Daniel tells her he can teach her swimming here, but she has to come here every day alone. Melissa says yes because it's her chance to spend some private time with Daniel. Later they talk for a while and Melissa reveals that she is still a virgin. Daniel understands that Melissa loves him because of her conversation. Daniel is confident after that and tries to kiss Melissa, and she doesn't stop him. Later we see Melissa in her school. Their summer vacation has ended and today is the first day of school. Melissa waits for Daniel to come. However, Daniel doesn't show up. Daniel never called and met Melissa after they kissed. Melissa is feeling bad about Daniel. Her friend tells her to forget Daniel. He is not interested in her, but she doesn't listen to her friend. Later in the class she writes in her notebook that she will never forgive Daniel for what he did to her. After some days, Melissa receives a call from her friend and she tells her that Daniel will be coming to a club with his friends. You can meet him there. Melissa feels happy and starts preparing for the club. Later she went to the club with her friend. Melissa sees Daniel after so many days. Daniel looks back at her and comes to talk to Melissa. He tells her that you have grown beautifully and offer her a drink. Meanwhile, a friend of Daniel comes and compliments Melissa for her beauty. Daniel feels jealous and starts complimenting Melissa. Daniel tells Melissa that he wants to talk to her about something in private. Melissa agrees and they went to Daniel's house. They talk for a while and then get intimate. After a good love session, Melissa proposes to Daniel. She expresses her love for him. However, Daniel is a playboy. He rejects her and tells her that you are crazy. It was just for fun, nothing serious. Later Melissa is heartbroken and completely changed. After the incident she is feeling angry with Daniel. Melissa decides that she will do the same to everyone what Daniel did to her. She promised herself to not care about anyone's feelings. Later we see Melissa's grandmother in a hospital with Daria. Her grandmother was feeling sick. That's why Daria took her to the hospital. Meanwhile, Melissa thinks that Daria wants to admit her grandmother in the hospital so she can keep her grandma away from Melissa. She feels angry and starts arguing with Daria and they had a fight. Later the next day Melissa go to her school. The news of her hookup with Daniel is spread in the school. She is feeling very sad and all the students make fun of her. Meanwhile, a new student named Marco is looking at her. He secretly loves Melissa and understands what she is going through. Later Melissa and her friend go to a coffee shop. Melissa sees a man staring at her. She tells her friend that she will tease that man for fun. She teases him so badly with her seductive actions. After some time the man comes and sits with her and tries to touch her body. Suddenly she gets up and leaves. She had promised herself that she would play with everyone and leave them like that. When Melissa comes home she meets her grandma in the house. She is back from the hospital. Melissa feels happy. However, her grandma notices her face and understands that she is sad. Later grandma talks to Daria and tells her about Melissa and what she is going through. However, Daria doesn't take her seriously. Later, Melissa's grandma tries to explain to her how to deal with heartbreak. Suddenly, Melissa receives a call from Daniel. He apologizes to Melissa for everything and tells her how he misses her and wants her back in his life. Daniel convinces her to come to his house. Melissa agrees and later went to his house and they start kissing. Daniel tells Melissa to close her eyes and Melissa closes her eyes and sits down. Then suddenly a friend of Daniel comes into the room and starts kissing Melissa. She kisses him without knowing, with her eyes closed, assuming that she is kissing Daniel. When she opened her eyes, she realized that Daniel wanted to play 1 versus 2. She feels angry and tries to leave, however Daniel convinces her to stay and she doesn't listen. After some time she agrees and kisses Daniel's friend and get intimate with both of them. They play 1 versus 2. The next day she tells her friend about her last night's adventure. Her friend gets angry at her and tells her to stop it and stay away from those things. However, Melissa enjoyed her session last night and she doesn't care about anything now. Later at home she opens an account on an adult website to share her experience with other people. One day when Melissa visits museum with her class fellow, she sits there and starts writing her diary. Meanwhile a man comes to sit with her. They talk and she is feeling so out of control. She gets intimate with him and they have a good, fun session. Later at school everyone is laughing at her because they have read her diary. She feels angry at her friend because she told everyone about the diary. When she comes home and sees grandma with a man and they both are in love with each other, she feels so happy for her grandma and wish she could have true love. The next day when Melissa is coming home from school, her best friend approaches her and asks him for forgiveness for telling everyone her secret. Melissa ignores her and walks away. Meanwhile Marco is looking at her from a distance. He is in love with Melissa, but she never notices him. He approaches Melissa and talks to her. Then suddenly Melissa receives a call from Daniel's friend. He asked her to come to his house. Melissa went there and met him. Daniel's friend asks Melissa to go inside the basement. Melissa refuses at first, but he convinces her and she goes with him inside the basement. He covers her eyes with a cloth. In the basement there are some boys waiting for her. They start kissing her one by one and then get intimate. She takes a love session with all of them. They play 1 versus 5. The next day when she goes to school, everyone is looking at her with strange look and makes fun of her. However, Melissa doesn't regret what she did. She tells herself that she did the right thing. Later we see Daria come to Melissa's room and read her private diary. She knows everything about Melissa. Now she searches for her and calls her. However, Melissa doesn't pick up the call because she is busy with an older man in his house. For 1 versus 1 play, Daria goes to the hospital to tell Melissa's grandma about Melissa. When she reaches the hospital, doctors informed her that Elvira is dead. Daria feels sad and starts crying seeing her mother dead. Later when Melissa and Daria are at home, Daria asks Melissa about the diary and everything written in it. Melissa replies that everything is true and I have done that. Daria feels hurt and sad because she never took Melissa seriously. Even when Melissa's grandma told her about Melissa, she apologized to Melissa while crying. Melissa feels sad and regrets what she did was wrong. She decides to quit all her bad habits and live a normal life. The next day she went to school and sees Daniel fighting with his best friend because he took Melissa to other boys and made her play 1 versus 5 sessions. He tries to talk to Melissa and she ignores him. Later we see she is back to her normal self. In the end we see Melissa is living a happy life with Daria and the movie ends here. Thank you for watching. Like and subscribe for more. See you next time. Take care. Movie Lover will meet you again with new story. Till take care.